So we were on the road for 10 days.
Felt like forever.
Forever. And we're back now, which is great. But I have a question for you. I know you played golf. We talked about that on last week's show. I heard that you got a discount for being a former Sun. Is that correct?
Yes. How about that deal?
I have so many questions. Number one, how did they know that you played for the Suns?
Listen, I'm gonna tell you this much.
Because let me just first, before you tell the story, let me just explain. Brevin played 3 more games than I did for the Suns. 3. He's like Allen Iverson, the Grizzly.
Yes. I'm an alumnus.
So when you go in and I'm Brevin Knight, I played for the Suns.
No, so
is there a database?
Yeah, there's a Phoenix. Yes. So I'm gonna tell you, there are 3 teams, 3 of my former teams who have been excellent at engaging with their former players. The Phoenix Suns, the Utah Jazz, and the Washington Wizards. There's 3 teams that still to this day will reach out with either opportunities to go to an event, come to a game, all of these different things that they offer former players. And I'm like, I didn't play that long in Phoenix.
3 games.
So they sent me an email. Was like, listen, all you gotta do is email us back and say that you want to be on the list that can play at Biltmore or Wigwam Golf Club, and you can play. We have a good deal for all of our former players. So I was like, hey, I would like to be on the list.
What's funny about this is across the room from us, there are 3 pictures of Brevin. One with the Cavs, one with the Grizzlies, and one with the Bobcats. The 3 teams he just mentioned are not on that list. Utah was his last stop. Phoenix, 3 games. Wizards, I forgot you even played for them. That's unbelievable.
That was another short stint. That was during my 4-team-in-1-year season. Started in Memphis, then we went to Phoenix, and then I went to Phoenix with the guy who Jerry West, God rest his soul, told me he was going to be an NBA player, who I told him was not an NBA player.
Right, and he got sent there.
He got traded, so we both get kicked out. He don't blame me, like it was my fault. And then we go from Phoenix, I go to Washington, and then from Washington, I have so many stories about the Phoenix time. Why I was only there for 3. There's a real reason.
Oh, I know.
Why I was only 3 games.
I know, and it's an amazing story.
And so then Milwaukee, and then I ended in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Can we tell the Phoenix story? I mean,
yeah. It's
3 games.
It kind of was what it was, and it was dysfunctional at a high level.
Dysfunctional at a high level, to the point where you said, "I need out."
I have to be out.
Was that the first time in your career and only time in your career you said, I need out?
Cleveland was the first time. When I was in Cleveland, they changed regime from Wayne Embry being GM and him, and then Fratello coaching, and then we changed to Randy Whitman was coaching, and that was a whole. And one of the Chicago shooters brothers was they had what was the shooter, Paxson.
Oh, yeah.
And they took over. We all did not see eye to eye.
No.
And so that was the first time. But the Phoenix one, well, this is a quick one. Well, we go to practice. Frank Johnson was the head coach. Mm-hmm. And we're at practice. And we go, you know how their gym was. At one end, it is the stands go up, and that's where the media goes. And then there's the gym. And so it was a heated practice. So Frank takes us to the other end of the court. And we're at the end of the court, and we're standing there, and he's doing the meeting, and said, the guys, let's just keep playing hardball. Let's not slow down the practice, whatever. Why don't y'all let y'all play and let me coach? And bro, in the next breath it was, you can't coach.
Because you can't coach. Damn. Who said that?
I said, like, sometimes you think things.
Right.
And then there's other times where the things come out. So my buddy, Matrix, he just said it and stood there. I was like, oh, damn.
Wow.
This shit ain't good.
And he's the face of the team, right?
He was one of the big names on the team. And so that was the first instance. I was like,
wow,
this already feels a little funny. So then we go to play in the game, and Marbury is the starting point guard, and Steph is playing, and I sub in for him. So I come in, play. It's about 30 seconds. Now Steph goes to the bench, says whatever. I see him come back to the table. I'm like, God damn, I just won the game, man. So he come in, he's like, nah, bro, nah, not you. He's like, I got you. You out. I'm like, bro, you just sub yourself in? So then I was like, let me see. Hey, Bill, this ain't gonna work.
I gotta get out of here.
We gotta get out of here. And then we know it, I was off to Washington.
Wow, that's a great story. Welcome, everyone, to Night Court. Woo, man. Welcome to Night Court. That's Brevin Knight. You can get him on Twitter at BrevinKnight22. I'm Rob Fisher at The Fish Nation. Yeah, it was a fun trip that we had, except since the last time we talked, we had the 2 road games that the Grizzlies lost in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Let them fire away. The cool thing about that game was Jalen Wells' performance was great. And it was cool that it was in his homecoming, too.
Yeah, 8 of 9 from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
He was, if not for him, and of course Jaren, it's just a regular for this team. But it was one of those games that was the Grizzlies have been in a couple of those this year where they have not played well at all, but their opponent has allowed them to kind of stay around. And it was just couldn't make enough plays in Sacramento. Listen, they give them you give them credit. The 20, I think they made 21 threes or 22 threes in that game, and it was the turnovers. Those last 2 losses for the Grizzlies were really big. The turnovers really came back to bite.
Yeah, Golden State, same story. It felt like as Sacramento, you got down big early, giving up so many threes, and then you were fighting back, but you never could get. You got it to 4, got it to 6, got it to 4, got it to 6, got it to 4, and just couldn't playing catch up all night. And both very difficult losses. And you felt after that, the talk was constant. Taylor Jenkins had to talk about it. He was asked about it. It was my first hit on the broadcast. I think it was one of the keys of the game. Turnovers. What's the problem? What's going on? And they come back in the Dallas game. The turnovers were down, which was good. Defense was really good after the first quarter. First quarter kind of felt like an extension of the road trip.
Right.
But after that, they settled in and kind of did what you want them to do. And then Jaren.
All-star. I mean, listen, man, every single night dude steps on the floor, he is starting to be the best player on the floor. Mm-hmm. And that's saying if he's out there with AD and LeBron, if he's out there with Steph, if he is out there with no matter what the other name is on the other side, when it comes down to just straight basketball, not what your aura is, not what your fame that you have amassed at this point, just in that night on the floor for the people who are playing, he is different than everyone else on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's been fun to watch him dominate in the way that he has and welcome and wanted on a nightly basis. This isn't like sometimes you can get into a stretch where you're playing well and it's just like I'm playing well. But Jaren has had some games where he hasn't played well within it in terms of the efficiency of the shot making. He's had those games, and he still has been as aggressive to get the next shot. Mm-hmm. He's been able to come in after the game and say, I need to be better. And then the next night, and then from those nights on, we see a better Jaren. I just think in all facets, on and off the floor, mentally and physically, we're seeing the best Jaren Jackson Jr. that we have ever seen.
A couple of things. One, I'm always down on the floor when the guys are warming up, and just kind of watch and observe, and there's nothing really that stands out usually when you watch guys warm up,
right.
But I find it interesting that the shots that Jaren is making in the games and dominating making those shots, the left-hander,
the reverse spin.
Those are the shots he is doing in warm-up.
Yes.
He's working on the shots that he's making in the games. And it feels like that's a guy who's taking his warm-up seriously.
Well,
Not that everybody doesn't, but That's how dialed in he is right now, I think.
Well, there is less chatter with everyone else that's around while he's working out. Like he still engages just because that's just his nature and his personality. But there is a lot more. Once I start into this routine, I'm into my routine of working out.
Yeah.
When I'm done, then it's back to the happy-go-lucky Jaren that we all know him to be. But yeah, I'm telling you, this is a version that I think everyone was wanting him to realize he could get to. I think that a lot of us saw it in him before he saw it in himself, all the way to do it to this level while still playing with a superstar. Like sometimes you get to a point where, yeah, when he's not there, I'll do it. But I think Jaren has gotten to the point where no matter when, who's on the floor, how it's going, this is how I play.
Right.
And I think that everyone has been like, bro, hey, keep going. You know what I mean? Like, we all believe in you. Let's go.
I liked when I had him in the postgame show and I asked him about you calling him unstoppable. And if that's the mindset he has. And his answer was, that's the mindset I have to have.
Right.
And he said, and then he started talking about trusting the work. And he said, if you trust the work, everything's going to work out for you. And he said, and that's what I have to focus on is my work. And I was like, I love that he has that mentality, because maybe younger Jaren may have just been like, I'm not unstoppable.
Exactly.
Shucks,
Right.
come on. I'm just doing what the defense gives me, and it may have been, but he has that mindset of, yes, I can dominate. And
Seventh year
I think
Jaren's what we got.
I mean, last year we're talking about how's Jaren going to get better. I think we're seeing it.
This is how, the talent was always there. It was how do you manifest it on a nightly basis?
Yeah.
But how do you take it to the step of the mentality of being that player? Like you in the NBA, I always say, everybody comes into the NBA a star. There's only a certain amount of people who can continue to elevate within the NBA. The rest of us become role players. There ain't nothing wrong with that. You make a lot of money and you set yourself up really nicely being a role player in the NBA.
Yeah.
Case in point.
Yeah.
Right here is how you do it. But there's
3 games with the Sox. 3.
But there's those other guys that they keep moving up while within this game. That's Jaren.
Yeah.
He's that level of player, and I'm glad he's showing it.
It's amazing to think, too. I mean, he's still so young.
Yes.
He hasn't reached his peak.
But do you see it? The other big thing that changes, the physical change that we've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's the other reason why he's able to, number one, play every night. And now when you ask him to play more minutes and take more on, he can do that and still be as efficient as he is when he plays short minutes. It's just the entirety of what he has done physically, conditioning-wise, his game. I mean, it has allowed him to be where he is today.
Yeah. Grizzlies will have Houston. That'll be fun.
I think it'll be a really good test, because I think in order for this team, the one area where they'll be tested that's not an X and O's is in the physicality side. Like, a lot of teams are going to say, well, if you want to have a chance against them, you got to slow them down. The way you slow them down is by touching them as much as possible and defensively getting into their ball handlers as much as possible. And so this Houston team, they did the same thing against the Wizards, who they played before we'll play them, which is the first half, it's almost as if they let it, it's kind of like we're just kind of playing.
Right.
But then the third quarter comes, and there's a switch that goes off in terms of the level that they start to play on the physical side.
Yeah.
They did it when we were in Houston. When third quarter came, all of a sudden it was like, holy shit, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, this is total. It looked like they got 6 dudes on the floor. And they did it against the Wizards to blow that game open. So it'll be a good test to see how the Grizzlies have grown from the game in Houston to where we are today.
Yeah. And then go on the road again to Minnesota, Houston, and 2 with San Antonio. That's not an easy trip.
This is a tough 5-game stretch.
Yeah.
Houston twice, San Antonio twice, and then just throw in the Minnesota Timberwolves in there also, who have had their or are having their struggles.
Yeah.
On trying to find their consistency, and it's like they'll be good offensively, bad defensively, good defensively, bad offensively. They haven't been able to put all of it together. And, you have a new piece in Julius Randle that has to be a huge part of it. But he's another guy he's a ball stopper.
Right.
And so how does everybody? So Anthony Edwards pounds the ball. Now you got Julius Randle pounds the ball. You put Gobert.
Ball pounders sounds like.
Gobert is really not an offensive guy. He needs somebody to help him be good.
Yeah.
So I just think there's functionally they got to kind of work through some things.
Well, if they were in Sacramento, they'd have a new coach. Finch would have been out.
How about this? Doug Christie got them playing good. Malik Monk had a statement last night that was a sort of a shot at Mike Brown in terms of they believe in what Doug Christie is saying to them. They like the way that he's saying it to them, and it's just when someone has played the game, they know more of what it takes to be good than someone who's never played the game.
Oh. Okay. All right.
It's just a little.
Okay.
Just to let you
Yeah.
Just when he hits you and just keep walking in the line. So
He's
keep
cool.
moving.
So he's cool with it.
Oh,
Sounds
their team looks like they're cool with it.
Yeah. Jimmy Butler suspended. The Grizzlies are the odds-on favorite to get Jimmy Butler. But then there was a report last night that Jimmy Butler says that he's not interested in the Grizzlies.
Well, I can tell you that even when we talked about it, I was lukewarm to it.
Yeah.
We talked about it at the desk, you, I, and Chris the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And I to me, I don't know if we're ready to do the rental player thing here in Memphis. Like
That's dangerous, man.
I think that the way that they have been successful, there's been a template of how they've done it, and to get a player of his, Jimmy Butler is still an excellent basketball player.
Yeah.
But he's on the other side of the excellent basketball player. And so it is, I don't know if he would make so much of a difference to give up whatever you give up to get there. I almost would rather another role guy who can play a role good enough for you, but still just allowing your main guys to be your main guys.
Marcus Smart? I mean, wouldn't you like him to kind of be a guy that you could have had at the end of the Clippers game?
Yes. You need him to be healthy, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
The problem is we just haven't. Yeah, I think that we already have that guy.
But he's not healthy.
We just need, if he was healthy to play, then I think he fits that role enough to still allow our other young guys.
Man, you'd have to give up a ton, man.
Hell yeah, you have to give up.
And your depth is such a.
And the way that we play. Like, I know that it would be like, well, you get in the playoffs, you got to have half-court basketball. But it's like, well, but what about the other 35, the other 40 minutes before those last 8 minutes where we got to play half-court basketball? Like, what happens with those minutes?
And these next 40 games.
Right, and then when it's all said and done, like, what happens next year? Do you pick up his option? Do you so now you would have given up a whole bunch of stuff for either a half-year rental or maybe 1 year. Because at the end of the day, Jimmy Butler's not signing no extension with the Memphis Grizzlies. Right?
And what if he's not happy from the get-go?
Sometimes
We've seen that.
You got to be real. The people who we have had in Memphis and who have loved Memphis are people who were here in Memphis from the beginning.
Yeah.
Or we got you here and you fit who we already are. Like that core four thing, that was something that just happened to happen. Zebo was the perfect fit for our city. He was already from this area, from this type of area. Like it just fit right.
Yeah.
I just think the Jimmy Butler thing would be you're trying, like, you're going out on a limb to think like that something will happen.
There's a lot to like about this team, including the guy who's leading it all in PJ Haggerty. Good God, man. Like, I know we expect a lot out of him, and I know we expected him to be the top of the sort of pecking order here. But what he has done in taking it and running with it is impressive as hell. He has responded by 22, 5 rebounds, 3 assists per game, and his shooting splits are just absolutely bonkers. 50% from the field, 45% from 3, and 85% from the free throw line.
it just kind of goes back to something that we've said a million times when talking about college basketball. If you have a true superstar, you will be competitive more than likely. He is one of the true superstars in college basketball who can take over and win a game by himself.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
You see, Dane, for me, is the biggest reason why I seriously doubt the Tigers have peaked at this point. Because if Memphis were at its peak right now, Dane would be averaging about 15 points a game. I mean, I think he needs more opportunities because he simply made the most of the limited chances that he's gotten. I mean, at the end of the day, this team is always going to have to be revolving around its guard play because that's where it's the talent and the personnel and the scheming is just that. But Dane is a pretty talented big man. He's a very, very special type of post scorer.
He's such a cerebral basketball player. He knows where everyone is on the floor. He's so good with his footwork. He can finish with both hands, right, left. It doesn't matter. If they're not turning the ball over, this is a really good offense, y'all, because they can score on multiple levels. They can score from three. They can score in the mid-range. They can score in the paint.
Tune in to Tigers Live with Francis Carlotta, live after every Memphis Tiger basketball game on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Zion returned, looked great, and threw down a big dunk too. Nasty.
Physically, he looked good too.
Didn't
Like he looks like he was really getting himself ready to play. And God dog, when he took off and threw that, I said, boy, I see. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
You know, like for a little bit, you're like, man, Zion, he don't never be right, man. When he's gonna play, and then he does that, like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right, sure.
Yeah.
If he right, and the other thing I think that we don't talk a lot about, the same thing with Ja is like his ability to create something. Like that was the other thing that New Orleans was missing was they didn't have enough people to make someone else better. Mm-hmm. And I think that because he'll draw the attention, he attacks as much as he does, but he knows how to make a play for somebody else. So, I mean, New Orleans is not going to go anywhere, but I think at least it'll at least be a better brand of basketball for them.
OKC's running away in the West. They won 15 straight. They're 30-5.
When we saw them play, remember I said, I just wanted to see, like, why are they good? Mm-hmm. Like, they don't have a lot of big people. They don't, you think they don't, but then you watch them play, like, but they do, and they do, and they do. that's a problem. And that guy doggone, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is special.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 30 on us in 3 quarters. He does this just with such ease. And they do, like that's some for real defense that they play. And they
Chiney, isn't that her name?
Yes, my staff girl, Bowman.
Yes, she did a thing on NBA Today, and it was about Oklahoma City's defense, and she was like getting giddy about it, and she said, "Let me show you this stuff," and she showed a couple of highlights. It was incredible how they close out.
Yes.
On 3-point shots.
And then slide with you when you put the ball on the floor. Like it's the best one-on-one defense from any team that I see. Like Houston, I say is they defensively were good because physically they just challenge you,
right?
Like, and see where you back down or where you stand up to this physicality. OKC they are physically good, athletic good, but technically they are so good with the way they defend, the way they switch. The way they hold guys up, you roll too far. If it's a really big guy, they'll get off and they'll X to get out. Mm-hmm. If it's a small, if not, this dude just fights you. And it was to see it in person at OKC. I was like, oh, okay, I see why they are this good.
Unfortunately, when you hear this podcast, the game's going to be over, and we don't know what's going to happen. But OKC playing Cleveland tonight as we record this. Cleveland's 31-4. How about this stat for Cleveland?
Yep.
Their top 4 guys in their lineup have missed 4 total games.
And that's why their record is what it is.
4 total games. That's incredible.
In today's game, yes.
And by the way, I forgot to mention this when we were talking about Jaren. Jaren has played in 35 consecutive games.
Yeah,
He missed the first 2 games of the season from that hamstring I think he had in camp.
That he had the first day of training camp.
Of training camp. And so he missed first 2 games of the season. He's played 35 straight. Straight!
And here, the thing is, you don't even question if he's going to play the next day. You know what I mean? And with the workload, the amount of hits that he takes, man, it's good. At some point in time, at the end, the league will have to change the narrative of the playing, not playing thing.
No.
And they're going to be, you get hurt, you get hurt. But for the situation, instances where it's not for injury, you got to get away. They're gonna have to do a better job with the not playing basketball games because I played X amount of games in a row. Like you got to get off of that narrative because at the end of the day, like that's what you're supposed to do. Play the game. When the game is there, you're supposed to play the game. Now, like I said, if you're injured or hurt, then you can't play until you're.
Bridges has played in 300 consecutive,
right.
400
That's
consecutive
what I'm saying.
games,
Like
something that.
you have to get away from this idea that you can't play a certain amount of games in a row. Like that can't be the narrative for the league.
College basketball note: Mick Cronin, head coach of UCLA, they lost to Michigan. In his media availability, he said, "We're soft. Every day I have more passion and energy in practice than anybody else. I'm tired of it. It's a joke. The truth of it is, it's really hard to coach guys who are delusional." Mick Cronin.
You know me for
Right.
I'm all for
Yeah.
kind of keeping it real on what it is. And I think too many times, man, you get so many of these kids that get this false reality of what this game is, what it is. Especially now with making the money that they're making, you feel like you made it. Let me be honest with you. I'm surprised Mick Cronin has lasted as long as he has at UCLA with the mentality that he has and the style of play that he brought to UCLA. Now, what they've done is they've been able to win. They've had some consistency, but for him to be there has been big.
It's the off season, so I don't know if you're a Giants fan again.
No, it's because the playoffs going. I got my Ravens.
That's right.
Going to the playoffs.
But the Giants decided that they are bringing back their head coach and the general manager.
It was ridiculous. I told you when this was all going down. Like everybody was like the coach, GM, Sean, and get rid of our head coach and all. I told you that Mara needs to sell the team. That's the problem. Like that, at the end of the day, bro, it's time to move. We need a new owner. We need a new owner, bro, because if you're going to tell me that you undoubtedly believe that these are the people that we should continue to have moving forward, bro, it is the reason why they have been the third worst franchise in the NFL in the last 10 years, bro. The third worst franchise after all of those years of how they did. Bro, it's time to move on. It's so frustrating to watch. And then people are like, well, let's give them another chance with the team that they're going. Give them how many more chances? What team? Like we've been bad. We've been being able to get high. Like when you're bad for so long, that means you get a lot of high draft picks. How are you still shit? That means that somebody is not drafting the right people. The people that's coaching not coaching well. There has to be a change. So to say like, oh well, we're just gonna stay status quo and think we move. Bro, that's why I'm a Ravens fan.
And then Mara was asked, how soon do you expect a turnaround? And he said, well, it better be soon because I'm running out of patience. Well, okay.
Well, I tell you where they don't have patience, in Los Angeles and New England. There's no patience there. They got them dudes one season with bad teams and you get fired.
Goodbye. Yeah,
what the hell was you going to do with those rosters? Yeah. But in the Giants, don't worry. We'll stick around a little bit longer. We'll get it next year.
Go Giants, go. All right, it's my favorite part of the year when we make the football picks.
Oh, here we go. That's right. Here we go.
All right, Chargers are a 3-point favorite at Houston.
3-point favorite at Houston. I am going with Houston to win the game. Now, I don't know what that means. They got to win by more.
They just say if they win, they cover.
They win. Oh, because they're
an
underdog.
Yeah.
I'm going, Houston.
I'm going with the Chargers to cover. Ravens, your Ravens, 9.5-point favorite over the Steelers. That's a big number against Mike Tomlin.
That's what I'm saying. So this is you know how, so you do it from the betting standpoint.
Yeah.
I do it from the
Who's going to win?
And the Ravens are going to win the game.
All right. I think the Ravens are going to cover too. Steelers have been playing bad football going into the playoffs.
Steelers have been they've
lost 4 straight.
Literally offensively, I don't know if they even know what the end zone looks like. They just literally kick field goals.
Russ has turned into Russ.
Old Russ, he showed up.
Yeah. Buffalo, an 8.5-point favorite at home against Denver.
I mean, good run for the Broncos. Happy that that Bo Nix had success, but I'm going Buffalo. And whenever you ask me, just say Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm covering with Buffalo too. Philadelphia, Green Bay. Philadelphia, 4.5-point favorite at home against Green Bay.
I don't know that Philadelphia has been they kind of hit a little bit of a little sluggish, like And Green Bay. Jordan Love, I just don't like. It's like some days look at him, it's like, okay, yeah. Then there's other days like, what was that?
This time of year last year, he was amazing.
Right. All right, I'm going in that game because I really don't really have a. I mean, of course Saquon left us, so to hell with him.
Yeah.
I'm going with Jordan Love coming up big again for the Green Bay Packers.
I'm going Green Bay too. How about that? Washington at Tampa. Tampa's a 3-point favorite.
This is Jaden Daniels. I'm a fan.
I believe.
I'm a big fan, and they're playing really good football. So
I'd start my franchise with Jaden Daniels.
in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. So I'm going with, and I felt like What's called just kind of backed their way into this.
They sure did.
Like for their fourth consecutive championship. For their division championship, but they backed in.
Yeah.
I'm going Washington.
All right, and then Minnesota, 1-point favorite at LA against the Rams.
This is the thing what I'm going with. You know, I like my boy Dan Orlovsky. I'm a Dan Orlovsky fan.
Okay.
And God dog, if he ain't been talking about these dang on Rams, saying that if the Rams make it to the playoffs, everybody better be aware. So I'm gonna follow with Dan and say I'm jumping on the Rams bandwagon.
I'm going with the Rams too.
I'm jumping on the Rams,
which is sad because I am a Minnesota believer. I believe what they did this year. I thought they were really good, although they got spanked by Detroit last week.
I told y'all that Sam Darnold is just like these dudes that like Joe Flacco, I call him Joe Flunko. It's like all of a sudden when they kind of not doing well, they're good enough to do well enough for you to be like, damn, he's good. Like the Tampa Bay's quarterback.
Baker.
Same as like, and then like for some reason it just hits a point like Minshew. And like when they come in, it's like, oh, we're excited. Yes, he's doing. But then it gets to a point where it's like, damn, bro, like we just needed you to, come on, what happened? We just needed you to. I think Sam Darnold was hitting that we just needed you 2 point.
Yeah. Wow. All right, college football playoff, Penn State, Notre Dame.
Well, I got it. Oh man, PD and Tommy, they'll be upset.
And then it's during our game.
That's so crazy. I'm going Notre Dame. Let's go, Marcus.
I've been back and forth on this one a lot because I'm not a James Franklin believer.
I know you always say it's the big
games.
games, you just can't do it.
But Notre Dame beat Georgia because they had 2 big plays. That's it.
I looked at their I know the quarterback was doing good, and at the end of the game, they put his stats on. They like
90 yards.
Like 90 yards passing.
Yeah.
On like 18. I'm like, oh, well, maybe.
So maybe Penn State. I'm going to bet Penn State, I think. But I'm not confident in that. I am confident in Ohio State, although it seems too easy. Ohio State favored by 5.5 against Texas.
Yeah.
But I'm going to Ohio State. They're playing like the best team in the country.
I was about to say, how do you go against the way that they play? I've never been a big Ohio State guy, but the reality is, I think they're playing really good football now.
Yeah. All right. We're short on time, so I got to get to toasts. I have a couple toasts.
Okay. Oh, you got a couple.
Yeah. Number 1 to Walker Kessler. Familiar with Walker Kessler, right?
Yeah. Okay. Utah Jazz.
His girlfriend won Miss America. How about that? That's kind of neat.
That's
they showed video of him watching it, and she got crowned, and he was like, no, and he was all fired up and everything. And
was he there, like watching?
No, I think they were on the road.
On the road.
Yeah,
that's cool. Hey, Toast Walker Kessler's Miss America.
Yeah,
and
so good for
Griffin.
Walker Kessler.
That's some bullshit. Walker Kessler dating Miss America.
Hey, listen, man. It's all about when you make the connection. Man. You never know. You never know who, why, or for what reason.
You don't know.
But the connection have you lock eyes.
Yeah.
Hold on.
He's with a pageant girl. Another thing, when we were on the road trip, you and I both did something we've never done before in our lives.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if everybody's familiar with this,
Right.
but some of you might be familiar with it. It's called Waymo.
Yes.
It's like Uber, except the car does not have a driver.
It's driverless.
Driverless Uber. And it's cheaper than Uber. It doesn't go on highways.
No. And it's only in 3 cities right now. I think
Is that right?
Phoenix,
San Francisco,
LA.
LA.
I think it's just in those
And
3
they're
cities.
everywhere. And you see
Yeah.
these cars come driving down the street and there's nobody in them. And it's insane. So Eric Hasseltine and I, we did it one night and it was, it's very interesting when you get in the Waymo and it drives you and you're just watching the steering wheel move, but
Yes.
there's no one sitting there. It's kind of wild. But it works and it gets you to where you want to go, and then you did it the next
Yeah,
day.
and the thing is, you just don't want to do it in traffic because it sits and waits until really you can go. Like, you know, like you like inch out if you're driving
right.
to like get yourself in. It's like sits there and it's like
Yeah.
it's like pump fake you, and then eventually it'll like after a while it'll start to do it. But it was I had to at least try it. And
Right.
But it was fine. It worked out good for me.
Shout out to Waymo.
So shout out Waymo.
Yeah, good for Waymo.
I got one. Last night I got shout out Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
Last night was the first round of the TGL league that they had, a golf league that they have going on, where they play on this simulator that is 5 stories high. And so they hit it, and it's pros, 3-man teams. They hit into the simulator, and then when you get 50 yards or in to the green, they have a green that's behind them. And
so you go
and
play.
you put the ball down, and you play from there. You put it in, and the green is 360 degree. It rotates, and it has pumps underneath that changes the contour of the green. So you go to the green and play at one hole. They'll putt. They go hit on the screen. They go play it again. It's an entirely different green based on what the hole was, and the holes are crazy that they're playing into. It was a 40-second shot clock. It was high. It was different, but I think it was something that's cool for people to be like, oh, that's kind of entertaining. So yeah,
The guys are talking.
oh yeah,
to each other
they're
and-
talking junk. They got earpieces, and you hear them talk the whole time.
I'm all right with the TGL.
Yeah, so shout out Tiger and Rory for bringing their vision to fruition. And I got to go down to 1,500. It's a 1,500 seat venue that they play it in. You can go down and watch.
Oh, yeah?
I will be
You're
there.
going? All right. And to coaches who kept their jobs in the NFL, congratulations. Shout out to you. 6 of them fired out. New jobs in the NFL. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for joining us here on Night Court. Of
Indoor
course,
studio.
Our indoor studio, absolutely. It's fantastic.
I'm not going to tell you how long it took to set the studio up, though.
Oh, my.
I'm not going to say that, Mark.
Yeah, no, we won't talk about that. Thanks to Kenny for being here. We of course you can watch if you're listening to the podcast. We thank you for listening to the podcast. You can also watch the podcast, the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. You can do that each and every week. So that's kind of fun to see our studio and to see our facial expressions, or to see when we're not paying attention to each other. But we'll be back next week for another edition of Night Court. We'll be doing it from the road again next week. So
Yes.
tune in for that. For Brevin, I'm Fish. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week here on Night Court.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Night Court podcast. If you enjoyed Rob and Brevin, hit that like button, subscribe to the Bluff City Media YouTube channel, and enjoy the content. We will see you back here next time.